You know, it's so funny to me, and I kind of beat the drum a little bit about the double standard in video games with Xbox and with PlayStation and things like that. I genuinely believe that clearly there is a double standard, and there continues to be this double standard for the foreseeable future. Like when Microsoft announced that they're going to do a dedicated show, hour and a half, new games, old game, they're going to do all this stuff, right? And people are like, oh, well, I'm sure it's going to suck and it's going to be garbage and this and that. And then, Sony is like, hey, we're going to do about an hour of stuff. And, basically they're going to cover VR, they're going to cover this, they're going to cover that. And everybody's just like, oh man, this is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's going to absolutely kill what Microsoft is going to do. This is the thing. To me, what Microsoft and Sony do are similar in a lot of ways and dissimilar in a lot of ways. But it's like Sony gets away with kind of doing whatever they want. Like when Microsoft does some of this stuff, it's kind of unbelievable that Sony gets away with so much while Microsoft isn't really allowed to do anything. For instance, again, and I was against this. I'm not a PC guy at all. I hate PC gaming. I think it's awful. But and I hate crossplay with PC. I think there's a lot of cheating and things like that. It's unfair for console gamers, and I have always liked uniformity. So the fact that there's not that kind of sucks. But anyway, Sony is increasing the number of active users. So they're talking about active users on PC, and they're pushing live services. These are things that Xbox got hate for, right? And Jim Ryan is like basically talking about how they're confident and they're going for the kill. And I don't understand why everybody's okay with, like, do you not understand the depth of that comment, the depth of these comments, the fact that if there was only PlayStation and no Xbox, what that means for gaming in general? Like, it's not a good thing. Obviously, Sony says that it intends to increase its PC player base as it pushes into live service space. In its new corporate strategy report, Sony sounded hopeful that its acquisition of original Halo developer and Destiny creator Bungie would help bolster its live service options. In addition, the company suggested that its push into live service could expand the amount of people playing ever-growing catalog of PlayStation games on PC. As part of its strategy to boost active users across the brand, Sony said knowledge sharing from Bungie will enhance the company's ability to develop and operate live service games, partly with the aim to increase the number of active users on PC. Although we've heard a fair bit about Sony's larger strategy around live services, we've yet to see the fruits of the labor. We've heard reports that The Last of Us multiplayer will be free-to-play with very, very live servicey, but that's still unconfirmed. Meanwhile, PlayStation London's yet untitled fantasy online co-op game definitely sounds like a live service game, but we still don't know much about it. And then there's Haven Studios, which PlayStation has said it specifically picked up because it had a lot of experience with live service games. Again, we know some things in the oven, but unclear what, beyond the fact that it's an increasingly broad live service category. Now, Deviation Games, a studio set up by former Treyarch developers, announced they're working with PlayStation in June of 2021, but recently the game suffered substantial layoffs, painting a grim picture, and looks like the game might have even been canceled. Obviously, there's Bungie as well, Sony's would-be trump card in its race to live service prominence, but there's no signs of Destiny 2 slowing down anytime soon, and the studio is yet to reveal its next projects, but reports suggest it could be a revival of Marathon in the vein of Escape from Tarkov. In February of 2022, Sony said it would release 10 PS5 multiplayer games by 2026, and just a few weeks ago added that its live service offerings would range in scope and genre. So we also know that there might be some kind of possibly free-to-play Twisted Metal game or some kind of game like that, some very servicey Twisted Metal game. We'll have to wait and see. But it's like a lot of these arguments and the way that they go after and attack Microsoft, I don't really agree with those. I think that it's not really, it's not right. Jim Ryan has been showing himself time and time again that he's in the wrong when it comes to this whole situation with Activision, and just in general, people are so quick to believe this guy, and I don't understand the thought process behind it, because as far as I can tell, this guy's full of shit. right? Like he's always been like he downplays the importance of things like backwards compatibility. Who would play that? That's according to him. You know, he said nobody wants to play backwards compatible titles. He talked about games not being held back by being also cross-gen, which was a lie, because now he's going, there's no compromises now because we're not putting it on PS4. Well, if it was compromised before, how is that believing in generations and taking full advantage of this stuff? Like, that's these parts that don't make any sense from a fan perspective, right? I'm sitting here going, yeah, it really honestly doesn't make any sense that they do that, and I honestly hope that, you know, some more people call them out for that. But for me, this whole thing where he's going on and on about, you know, going in for, you know, the end of Xbox and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. And then the way that people realistically sort of, you know, kind of take shots at Sony, I think that's weird. So he says that we believe that excellent and attractive games are the reason people choose PS5. This is true not only in Japan, but also in other regions. You know, again, it's sort of weird to see that this type of stuff is going on again and again. And we know that Sony looks down on what Microsoft does. Like, you know, and I've mentioned this numerous times, it's like Sony can kind of get away with what they want for whatever reason, and Microsoft just is not allowed to do these things. And could you imagine Phil Spencer coming out there saying some of the cocky stuff that Jim Ryan is saying? I think that it would be something that doesn't go over very well, and I think that people would just absolutely roll Microsoft for saying any of these things. So yeah, you know, it's crazy to see kind of what happens in like the future of gaming and things. But it is just a stark reminder that these things are going to continue to plague Microsoft no matter what they do, you know. So yeah, it's going to be one of those things where we kind of wait and see what happens. But I could definitely see some things happening on this. So I would love to see a lot of gamers kind of maybe step up and maybe call Sony out once in a while. You know, I'm not saying be dicks about it. I'm just saying, you know, maybe don't be afraid to call them out and say, hey, you know, this is wrong. You know, this is what's wrong with some of these people. You know, what's up with, you know, gamers kind of allowing the bias to continue. I always look at that and kind of go, you know, this is, I don't look at these as good things, you know. So maybe that's me. Maybe I'm weird. We need competition. We need competition. Let that sink in. If we don't have competition in gaming, it's not a good thing. It's never going to be a good thing. Trust me 100% when I say that. It will never be a good thing not to have competition. So let me know what you guys think. Do you hope that, you know, all the playing partners right now, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, all stick around and continue to make games and platforms and all that kind of stuff? Or do you want to see a one console world, basically, where Nintendo's off doing the kiddie stuff that they've been doing, the weak stuff, and, you know, Sony is allowed to charge whatever they want and do whatever they want, because apparently they're allowed to. So, I don't know. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.